Hello everyone, welcome to GNU according to say day that is government of national unity. Fellow South Africans, promise me you are not going to get angry because this is going to make you livid. It has made me so angry in the past before, especially when there was a payout. The biggest payout I have ever seen by RAF. Hmm. Let me tell you a story that I learned not so long ago, which kind of like would linger with RAF. So you see those people that are blind, like without eyes at all, and they always either have a child that is their guide. If it's not a child, it's a girl who is a little bit grown or a young man. Now, turns out that there is a village somewhere in Malawi, and it's not only Malawi but also Zambia. Now, you would have Europeans that visit this particular village or villages in these two respective countries, and you guess what they ask those people and what they promise them. Allegedly, when these Europeans get to these villages, they would go to a family and then they would promise them millions of dollars or sometimes even euros. And they do so also just to show them that they are serious. They will give them a deposit of about 2,000 euros. Now, how much is 2,000 euros in Zambia and Malawi, respectively, according to their currency? Exactly. So they get excited. And then out of the family, they will have to choose who is going to give up their cornea. Of course, not just a cornea, the entire eyeball. Now, each eyeball, according to these Europeans allegedly, would offer $1 million per eyeball. Now, the families, they would look at the situation. They were like, listen, we are poor, we go to bed hungry, and we don't have much. We don't even have decent house or whatever the case might be. And so, what do? They always look at the person who has lived their lives, inverted comma. So, this will be somebody that is, let's say, a firstborn child. If it's not a firstborn child, it's either going to be the mother. If it's not going to be the mother, it's going to be the father. If it's not going to be the father, it's going to be somebody who is not around the age of 50, because as you know, the older we become, our eyesight as well deteriorates. So they always look for the eyes with good cornea. And the reason apparently why these villages are targeted is because people of that village or those villages, they have very good eyesight. Even at old age, they can still see as clear as daylight. But of course, those doctors, these are allegations, guys. These are allegations, but the evidence you see it on our streets, though, in South Africa. Now, of course, they will then, because they know that they are going to live a lavish lifestyle, these doctors, of course, will sweet talk them and say, listen, you are still going to have a good life. You are no longer going to go to bed hungry. You are going to live in a mansion, drive expensive cars, and we'll also invite you to come to Europe and do whatever and whatever and whatever. Of course, the family excited, then they sacrifice a family member's eyeballs. And then these doctors then conduct an operation and remove the eyeballs in a surgical operation. And then they take these eyeballs, put them inside in what do you call this, a cooler box, and fly them to Europe. What are they going to do with those eyeballs? They are going to implant it on Europeans with money, and they have been bad eyesight. All they need out of that eyeball is the cornea. You know the cornea, that transparent layer on your eyes, is the one that basically gives you your clear vision. Yeah, that's the thing that they are looking for. It's just to remove that and put it on a European with a lot of money, and that European doesn't ask any questions. Where did you get this? This cornea from? As long as they can see, they are okay. The doctor makes millions and millions of euros. Do they ever return to this village again? No, they never do. The family runs out of that 2,000 euros or $2,000, and they wait and they wait. And then poverty begins to kick in once the $2,000 is finished. And guess where the destination is the moment they realize that they've been played? Now, these blind person who no longer with eyeballs take the youngest child or the eldest child, and guess what they do? The road is down to South Africa. And that is why every time when you walk down the street, or you are in a hair salon doing your hair, or you're doing your shopping, or whatever the case might be at the robots, you see these blind person without eyes being guided by this child or this young man or young woman begging for money. Yep, I learned this recently from a somebody that told me this. This is exactly what's happening, and that is why they no longer give them money because of what they've done to themselves. Now, if you look at South Africa, in South Africa there is no South African that is blind because that falls under disability. And in South Africa, the welfare of the country, it takes care of the disabled South Africans. And you ask yourself a question, but then you have these people at the robots, you're having them on the streets. How come the social services has not approached them and asked them, why aren't you getting a grant? Because they are not South Africans, and social services look the other way. Even though they drive the same streets you and I do drive, they get stopped by the same robots that stop us, and they see them and they do come to their windows to ask for 10 rand, 15 rand, 10 cents, 20 cents, 50 cents, and all that. But they do and say nothing. Now, the question one has to ask themselves is, should one feel bad and dig into your pocket and then give them something when this was done deliberately because of their own greed back home by selling their eyeballs? Now let's come to this one. This one, I know it's going to make your blood boil because it does me every time. So now we are having, you remember the road accident fund? Again, this is for South Africans, by the way. It's for South Africans. But now tell me why it is now saturated by illegal foreigners who have accidents in their respective countries. And then they remember, oh, wait, in South Africa, you get free money for getting injured in a car accident. They cross the border and come into South Africa. And guess where they go to? Straight to RAF to claim for their injuries from a car accident that they've gotten in their respective country. Yes. And let me tell you something. The highest amount of payout from RAF is to an illegal foreign national who did not have an accident in South Africa. He had his accident outside and he got paid, I think, 200 million rand from taxpayers' money, South African taxpayers, because this money comes from taxpayers. And taxpayers, when they pay their taxes, is in good faith that it's going to pay out a South African who gets injured in a car accident. But no, we are having people who have figured our country out and thought, I need to get paid for these injuries, even though I got hurt wherever outside of our borders. And you know what irritates the most is that the courts, when they are presented with evidence that this claimant was not even injured in South Africa, they will use our constitution, they would use our laws, and then the judges of this country rule in favor of the illegal foreigner, forcing RAF to do what? To pay out 200 million rand. Now, there were three students who also had a car accident in their respective countries. a car accident in their respective countries. And guess what did they do? They went to RAF to claim 150 million rand each for RAF to pay them out for the car accident that they were involved in. Now, to claim 150 million rand, that means the way the accident left you, it left you incapacitated and you are young because when the RF pays out, it looks at the quantum of your life, basically. Number one, how old are you? These are young men. They are medical students. Now, the prospect of them sometime in their lives making 150 million rand as experts in the medical field, they would argue were pretty high. And now, because of this accident, they can no longer reach their dreams, their goals in life, and therefore RAF has to do what? Compensate them for the incapacitation that was caused by the accident. And RAF was like, we are not going to pay out that money. There's no way we are going to do that. So while these three medical students were waiting to be paid out 150 million rand, guess what they did? Guess what happened with their lives? Their lives continued as though they never had an accident. Today they are doctors. Now, for 150 million rand to be paid out, you shouldn't have been able to get yourself out of bed, let alone go to medical school, finish medical school, graduate, and then go work as a doctor. But these ones, their lives are normal and they still demanding 150 million rand. How do they quantify that to 150 million rand? Mind you, guys, don't forget that this accident did not happen to them in South Africa. And it's not just them. There are millions, from what I understand from RAF, including some South Africans as well, they will get injured at home or they'll get injured at work. You know, what the fund called as well? There's another fund that we have in South Africa that compensates you when you get hurt at work. But no, instead of going to claim for that compensation, there are lawyers, South African lawyers, these unscrupulous South African lawyers, they'll be hanging out at hospitals waiting for people that got injured in a negligent way, maybe because the company was negligent or the employee themselves they were negligent or they got hurt at home. Maybe oil fell on the floor and boom, they fell and broke their leg. And there comes that lawyer and say, tells a doctor, another unscrupulous doctor, to say, no, 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 change those injuries into car accident injuries. And then they fill them RAF form and then they go claim at RAF money. And it is millions of rands. I personally know somebody, but this one was a legit accident that happened in 2005. If I don't, yeah, if I remember, it was 2005. They were involved in a car accident, and then they claimed at RAF, and they did get their money. It was around 2 million rand. That boy squandered that money like he was eating candy. Yeah, unfortunately, that's what happens with free money. You just don't think about tomorrow. Well, that was a legitimate claim, and when the RAF did the investigations, everything was legit. Now, the foreign nationals, this CEO of RAF is like, I refuse to pay illegal foreigners RAF because some of these guys are now doing it deliberately. They now understand that, oh, so all I have to do is get knocked down by a car, and now they are deliberately making themselves like it's an organized type of situation. You are going to run me over. Don't kill me though. Don't kill me. Just injure me and then I just go and claim for RF. Now RF has come with a different form, which is now making it a little bit difficult for lawyers as well as the so-called claimants to get payout from RAF. But the thing is, you still have illegal foreign nationals demanding to get paid by RAF if they are involved in a car accident. Once again, hi, Constitution of the Republic of South Africa. Hi to our laws. What's happening? What's going on here? And then we need to keep quiet as people of South Africa. As taxpayers, do you think this is something that's going down well? I don't think so. This is upsetting to the core. Like I said, guys, even the CEO of RAF, you can tell in his voice how angry he gets that the highest paid claimant of RAF payout is not a South African citizen. Not. And when he had that accident, he didn't have it here. He had it out there. Got unscrupulous lawyers, then made the claim, and they got paid out 200 million rand. And now you have three chances of medical students who are now doctors, by the way, still waiting to be paid 150 million rand each. Hey, ayidlaliwe ngathi. I'm telling you, kudlaliwe ngathi. Sivika la, qhamuka okunye. Sivike le, qhamuka okunye. What is going on? ANC, what have you done to us? This everything that is happening is attributed to the ANC. What have you done? I can't even speak. What have you done to South Africa, ANC? You need to take accountability. You need to take accountability for all of this. Apparently, all in all, RAF has paid illegal foreigners for the past 5 years 18 billion rand paid out to illegal foreigners in South Africa, RAF. And we are still owing 1.5 or 1.8 billion rand to still pay out to illegal foreigners who have car accidents outside of South Africa and they come to South Africa to claim RAF. And the CEO is like, I'm not doing it. I'm not paying it. So South Africans need to stand behind the CEO of RAF. If you're a taxpayer, refuse for your taxes to go where they're not supposed to be going. They were not supposed to go there in the first place. Those lawyers that are doing this to South Africans, they need to be dug out, arrested, prosecuted, debarred, derolled, and then convicted. That is what needs to happen because no, we can't be played like this. It's enough. Anyways, guys, here's the video.
The amount of money we used to pay to foreigners was about 3.5, 4 billion at a time. We are not paying close to that because we have said we are closing that. For illegal foreigners, we are not paying. Actually, when you get injured on our roads, in terms of Section 22 of the Act, you are supposed to tell us within 14 days as a driver or as an owner of a vehicle that someone has been involved in a car accident. These are the people. You fill a thing called RAF Form 3. You will never find one at the Road Accident Fund. Now, what happens usually is that you would get people claiming. So, for instance, we know an accident would happen, 10 people will get injured. We are likely to get more than 50 claims on the same accident. The rationale is that this is fraud. And how they achieve this fraud is through the act. So what they used to do is that they would fill in forms and claim. And if we do not react within 60 days, that claim in terms of Section 24.5 is valid in all respects in law. Now, you can imagine someone says I got injured. They've got 3 years within which to claim. By the time you get to the hospital, the records are lost. You can't find them anywhere. The people that are bringing the records are the only people with the record that this person was injured and it was actually a road accident. They are not even supposed to give us a accident claim form.
Right.
So this is why we brought a thing called RAF Form 1, which is what people are fighting about, to say there are onerous requirements. There's no onerous requirements. We wanted information so that we can actually help the actual victims.
Yeah.
But of course, majority of these claims happen to be fraudulent claims. So that's how we started to tighten the system. We used to receive claims of about 300,000 claims a year. We are now sitting close to about 90,000. So it tells you a story that most of those claims, about 200,000, were actually fraudulent. Because once you start to say, give me all the information for us to be able to give you an offer to justify your claim, a lot of claims were less. And when they brought these claims, most of those claims did not meet the minimum requirements that we then set.
Yeah.
Yes. Short-term debt was sitting at 19 billion when we arrived. We are sitting at 8.3 billion as at the end of the last financial year, as we released it on the 31st of August. On Monday, we'll be releasing our results. You will see for yourself. The amount of money we used to pay to foreigners was about 3.54 billion at the time. We are not paying close to that because we have said we are closing that. For illegal foreigners, we are not paying because they must prove they were in this country legally. That's our view. And of course, I mean, those are the things that people are fighting us about. And I mean, there is a concerted effort even now to get rid of this management and this board. As we push back in the road accident fund, they are looking for avenues to make money. As I said last week, I think it's regrettable that that is happening, but it's a direction that I think as government we need to manage quite closely, because I see a lot of these things that are coming, and I suspect that they are mostly driven by people that have been working in the rough system for a while. On top of that, they want you to make an undertaking that you will never claim their social benefits. They want that undertaking. In the UK, they write it there. You must sign next to it that I won't claim any social benefits from the country and all that. The Belgians are claiming a social benefit, 151 million each, 3 of them. What does South Africans say? As I said, the biggest ever payout was to a foreigner. That's a fact. You know what they say when I say that? They said it in court papers not long ago, xenophobic. So when it's done by them, it's not xenophobia. When we say let's do it, it's xenophobia. I don't know how xenophobia works, okay? But it's fear-mongering, you see, that they can then attach a label to people, this one doesn't like foreign. There's no such a thing. There was a court judgment that says you can be unlawfully here constitutionally. You hear it. So I thought the constitution was based on the law, it's the supreme law. Right? All these other ones follow the constitution. But you can be here constitutionally, but unlawfully. Right? That's fine. Our law says in the borders. Okay, that's what the law says. In the borders of South Africa. So we want to know when the accident happened, were you in the borders? Just give us movement control or some stamped passport. Then it doesn't happen. Right? So we say, okay, because now you don't even want to give us a stamped passport. Let's go and check whether you are known. Have you ever crossed the border to South Africa at some point? And border control says we have never have a person in that name crossing over. But let me tell you, there's also a judgment saying pay the guy. The judgment says pay the guy. Now, was he in the country? I don't know whether the judge knows whether the person was in the country or not. And that's the difficulty. The amount on the RNYP that we have, that we are still owing to foreigners, is 1.5 billion. And I must ask them to add both legal and illegal, because we have not separated those ones yet. So that's the amount of money we are paying. Imagine what we can do with 1.5 billion.